There is a thin divide between what is perceived as spiritual and paranormal, for they are forever entwined throughout time. Traveling within the history of the world, we can find examples of spirituality that involves everything from magic, spirits, gods and goddesses, and seers or people said to be able to talk to the dead. We all have our belief systems and we all have our own truths. So come sit with Holly Jenkins and myself as we talk about all that and more. Welcome to Spiritually Paranormal.
Oh, hey. Oh my gosh. Oh.
That's all right. Hi, everybody. Ooh, I'll make myself a little smaller. Otherwise, when I'm sitting up here, I look like I'm on top of you. Hi, Vic. How are you? Nice to see you. Hi, Cindy. Pinkham is here. Kay is here. Hi, Connie. Welcome to the mayhem. Hi, Chloe. How are you? And Joyce is here as well. So
where's the two troublemakers? Rellyn and Ruth.
I don't know. Tada hasn't. Well, no, actually, Tada, because of Bill, he had that Widowmaker heart attack. Did you know that?
Who did? Oh yeah.
So he's doing okay, and they had put stents in for him, but they were waiting. I didn't talk to her. I texted her on the phone back and forth a little bit yesterday, and he's okay, but they were going to look today at what had to happen for him in the future. Very, very lucky that he got to the hospital. Very grateful he did. My neighbor, it's been 2 summers. Yeah, not this summer, but the last summer, he actually had one, and he was driving. He drove to the ER on his own while he was having it.
Oh my word!
He had called 911 and waited, he would have been dead. So yeah, when you talk about these Widowmaker heart attacks, they are not a good thing. So I'm glad he got in, and so Tada is forgiven today for not being
just for today. She's got to get back on it.
Margaret, Nikki, Carrie, how are you guys? I hope you're all well. So today, because you do it as well as I do, and then recently I just did it, I thought, and I had some people ask me about it, I thought we'd talk about automatic writing and channeling how we channel our artwork and what have you. And Pip is yelling hello, Mango's yelling hello, and
yeah, they're noisy today.
Yeah, the toddler is on his perch, so he's not going to be getting on the floor. You guys just need to stop. Anyway, so first, as we do every week, how was your week?
It's all right. I just did a video this morning. I need to send it to you because it's on TikTok, of course. I did a whole bunch of videos for TikTok today. But this one says, does anyone else have this problem? When they're not working on some project, something, they just feel completely out of sorts and it feels weird not to be working on something. And it feels like you're just doing nothing, which you might be doing nothing. But the thing is, it's okay to do nothing.
Yeah.
But it don't feel right. I've only published 1 book this week.
Oh, my heart just breaks. Little
whatever. But I'm also working on another project, which is just because it's what I've been doing for 20-something years. I'm putting a digital marketing packet together for real estate agents. I've called it 360 because I'm trying to get 360 things in there and created. But I'm not into it. I think it's just because I've done it for 20 years and it's not exciting me anymore. And I'm just like, it's painful.
Well, it's become routine. I talked a little bit about this yesterday because it's ringing a bell. I don't know who it was, but I did a read for somebody. And it's like we go through these cycles and they become very routine for us. And you get bored with it. And one of the things I used to do, I don't know if this takes where you are at because you've worked with real estate for so long. But I would go into a job and I'd be there 6 to 7 years and then I'd leave because I was totally bored. Because you'd go in, and even when I was working at the hospital and with the kids and stuff, it was the worst job and the best job. I loved it. But I'd go in and everything was, and I know that sounds bad to say, but it was routine, like the meds, and you have to calculate and do math, which I'm not a math person, but it became automatic for me. So I have always done that. And I was talking to the young gal, Lindsay. She's going down for an interview. She left today for down by Taylor. And I said, people ask me all the time, well, God, you've done so much in your life. And it's like, yeah, but I'm like a jack of all trades and master of none, right? Because I go into it 5-6 years, that's it. And then I switch, and it could be a totally different genre, I guess would be a way to put it. So, I mean, you got to give it to yourself. Sometimes we have to pull ourselves out of those routines.
Right. And I'm just, there's a couple of different factors here. First, I went to Etsy to see, because there's other people that have tons of these. The market is saturated with them. But I bought one a few months ago to see what their packages look like. And it was crap. I mean,
yeah, no, I understand.
I could use maybe a couple of things out of it. And then I'm like, what am I going to do with the rest of this stuff? And it's so cheap, though, that they're pricing like it's under $20 for, 300 and something images, custom created images. And you'd have to sell a lot of them to make up all your time and right. your experience as well. And I'm like, oh, is it even worth it? Is it even worth putting my time into this? Or should I just focus on continuing with the books and other things? But now the packet is over halfway done, and I'm like, oh.
Well, sometimes we get nudged to do things, and we get nudged so hard, we have to do them. We were talking just before here, and I know you do a lot of artwork as well, and you still haven't finished your dot painting yet.
No, she's still exactly the way she was. I have not touched her yet. Just like what you're about to say, when I'm supposed to finish her, I will, and she'll be done like that when I'm supposed to finish her.
Well, and it's weird. And one of the things that we came up, I actually posted it over in the group of people that I worked with when I took that class, and asked them what was going on and stuff, how they were all doing. And that was one of the key things I asked. So who channels? That's why I want to see who channels, and how do you channel, and what do you channel, and how does it work for you? So I'm going to let you start with it this time, because I know you do channel a lot of stuff as well.
I do. When I was doing the weekly videos, I would do all 5 days right in a row. Sometimes I would do 2 weeks in a row. It depends on how much energy I was feeling and how drained I was after the first week, whether I'd do a second week or not. And when I'm doing that, everything that I'm doing leading up to prepping my area, getting my mind in the right place, I am kind of going into a meditative state.
Yeah.
Then I will sit there and I will just clear myself away from the channeling. I don't want my personal life or anything to do with me to affect channeling for the collective. And it's kind of like a meditative state. I have no idea what my topics will be. I try to remember. I have to look up when's the new moon, when's the full moon, and try to remember in my head what days those are. Otherwise, if spirit doesn't guide me to talk about them, I'll forget.
Well,
because I go from one topic to the next,
yeah.
And I have no idea what I'm going to say until I hit record.
I look at a lot of people that I've known over the years. It's been a lot of years that I've worked with on and off. They all channel differently. I used to do auto writing all the time, and it's the same thing. You kind of go into a meditative state, or it's kind of like when you're driving and you have a long drive and
you're on autopilot.
Yeah, and you get to your destination and your mind has been traveling, and then you're like, oh, how did I get here so quick? Um, but I do believe that when they want us to do something, they want it and they want it when they want it. And by they,
Right.
I'm saying, whoever it is, the spirit lands or the divine energies, I can't tell you who it is, but it's never bad. I mean, there's nothing bad that I've ever written out or just the oddball. And it comes at the most odd times. Do you find that? I mean, because it'll
Yeah.
happen like you'll be in the middle of something totally you're doing in your human self, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, I got to do
That happened the other day. What was it that came to my mind? And I just blurted out something. Oh my gosh. I remember the moment. And it was just like we were just driving down the road and suddenly I saw something and then I had to talk about it and now I've forgotten what it was. So I have to ask my husband if he possibly remembers that. Don't hold your breath. Don't hold your breath.
But when we do it, when we channel it, it's what needs to come through at that moment in time. And again, you have weird shit happen around you all the time. I have
All the
weird
time.
stuff that happens to me. And last week I told you guys all about the TV turning on and that song coming on that I had never heard before. And then when this past Saturday happened with Israel, all of a sudden I got images in my head and I heard that music again and I thought, oh, I understand that now. It was like in preparation of what was coming, right?
Right.
And there's no telling what they bring through. They kind of just pick you up by the scruff of your neck, kind of, sort of, and drop you on it.
Yeah, just like the other day, I was just driving down the road. I was driving home, and suddenly I just saw fast food chains closing, going out of business. And my prediction is like by 2026, we're going to see that because the public can no longer trust big corporations.
Right.
So they're going to stop eating out. They're going to start growing their own food, at least cooking and preparing their own food because you can't trust what they're serving us. And I mean, just think about how long those businesses like McDonald's has been in business. I see them closing a lot of stores, if not the majority.
Well, I don't, because I live where I live. We have a Walmart here. That's our biggest store. I don't have, like when I was in Detroit, obviously we had 20 malls you could go to and there were all these stores. And I want to say it's been 6 years since I was downstate, but I went with Dave and Tay. And when I went to it's called Great Lakes Crossing. It's a huge mall. And it's always been full of stores, and most of them were closed. I mean, there was a handful that were open, and I'm like, yeah, because people are doing more things on the internet. They're buying from the internet. We don't want to go to the store. And it's become a thing that people are doing. So
people don't even go into the grocery store and get their own groceries. They order them online. Yeah, I can't do that. I don't want somebody else picking out my groceries, especially my produce. Don't touch. You can't pick the right tomato for me. I'll pick my own. Thank you.
That's the only thing I go into the store for is fresh produce. And I only get my meat from the local butcher because I know he does it himself. He cuts the cuts.
Right. We have a plan to go down in the next couple of weeks or so down to Chattanooga because there's a butcher down there that my grandmother and the family have always used, and I want to go get some meat from them.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, I did. It's just so well. Okay, so getting back to what happened on Saturday with Israel, and I'm not getting into political stuff, folks. That's not what I'm here to talk about. But one of the things, and I don't know if you remember or not, but a lot of years, this has probably been since 2008, I've been having this vision, or in dream state, I would see it, and it never has changed. It's always been the same. And it was 3 archangels, like standing like pillars, holding up the world, like what, Atlas, wasn't it? The Greek god Atlas that represented the moon or the earth or whatever when he held it. And that's what I saw, was these 3 guardian angels, archangels, holding it up. But the ground was cracking, people were falling in, there was fire, there was water, all the elements, there was wind, all the elements were there, and people were going down, and we were told, you can't help them anymore. You need to take those away with you that are ready to move farther past what's going on. And when I saw the horrific video that was coming, and it was actually live video that was coming from them, that was what came back in my mind, was that vision I had. And yep, that's fine. And you know, you stop and you think about that stuff, it's scary, you know, and it's real. And I don't know how man has never overcome what we do. Not all of us, obviously, but what has made man to actually judge everybody. They're all judgy. And it's like the Middle East has been on fire from the day it was birthed. And they're always competing, but it's all these men that are like, you know, they think their way is the only way, and they're judging for God. And it's like, that's not the way it's supposed to be. But it's real, and that's what's so scary. And I think right now that energy has added to the other cluster, you know what, here in the US, and everybody's like depressed. I mean, just in the past couple of days, I've had people reach out to me.
Well, you got to look at the collective energy. Yeah. The collective energy is all, they're afraid, they're terrified, they're worried about how to make ends meet. People, yeah. One video I watched, it was a young person saying, well, they were probably a millennial in their 30s, were saying she's making the most money she's ever made, but yet she's struggling.
Yep.
I hear that. It's ridiculous. It shouldn't be that way. And
I'm right there. Yeah, I'm right there. You know, I have everything taken care of, but I have nothing extra. You know, and that.
Yeah, that's it. No extra, nothing.
That goes into my food budget. You know, there's stuff and times that I'm cleaning out and just trying to be creative in the kitchen. So this is a really rough time. So getting back to the channels, you've auto written, haven't you, sat and auto?
Oh yeah.
This is something that often I'll have clients that come up and I'll be told to tell them, I don't care what you're writing down. I don't care if it comes into your head and it's a cheeseburger from McDonald's, write it down, because it's coming through with messages for us. And I actually got to a point where I didn't like to physically channel when I would do reads, because I would go so deep that I'd be out playing in the stars with healing energies with Mother Mary or whatever. And the one time that I don't remember what happened, but it was a samurai that came in for the person that I was reading for, and not violent. I mean, the samurais were important people. They had villages that they took over, but I don't remember any of it. And apparently I went like 40 minutes. And wow. I was gone for 40 minutes, but I had somebody sitting and said, you need to tap me physically so I know, and tell me, come back, because right. You're out there playing with the stuff. I don't.
Time isn't a thing when you're channeling most of the time. It's just, it's like, for me, when I'm channeling, it's like, it just puts me in this different reality.
It's like an altered state.
And it's like, I'm not just watching a movie, I'm in the movie.
Right.
And just looking at what's happening, what's going on around me, and that's what it is. And when I would do videos, when I hit record, I had no idea where I was going to go until I hit record, and boom, I was there. Yeah. Now, when we came back, when I was going home from the powwow that you and I attended, way back when, what was that, 2009 or something like that?
Yeah, 2009. Yeah, I think it was.
I had seen where it's going to be, the plates are moving, and they're already moving in Africa.
Oh, yeah.
there's going to be a split that goes right up the U.S. and it's going to cut it almost in half. There's going to be more property on the west than there is on the east, but not a whole lot more. It's almost in half. And in that, when it starts happening, it's not going to be fast. It's not going to be quick. It's going to be over a matter of time. But there are going to be some people, like when it first starts, whoever's living on that line, there's going to be some deaths all along that plain. And then you've got the point where the coastal areas on the whole coast, all around.
Florida and California is going to drop off, but
California is gone. A lot of Nevada is gone.
Yeah, Florida's actually going to.
Florida, there's a tiny little bit of North Florida left. The East Coast, a lot of that is gone. Look up the Navy Doomsday map. That's exactly what I saw. And I had no idea about that map when I had that vision.
But what that is if you look at the court, because we had when the lakes got really low, the Great Lakes in Michigan got really low, everybody was like, oh my God. No, if you look, it's the cycle that the earth goes through. And you can actually go back to like prehistoric times when it was hot and heat. And then you can see where it turned cold. And that's what they're finding now. They just found again, where was it? It was somewhere in the northern state area. I don't remember what state it was though, but they just archaeologically found a fossil of like a raptor, and it was mummified. So it was like it was alive. Like when they took it out, the organs were still in it. Everything, the food it had eaten was still in it. And they put it back to a certain time level. Well, you look at that and then you look at the sediment of the earth and the layers, and that'll tell you how the earth has changed. And those tectonic plates, they've already said, I don't know if many people know this, but back in, when did the Challenger blow up? In 84, I think, wasn't it? We actually had an earthquake in Michigan. I was in the house, in the upstairs of our house at my parents', and the whole house shook. And we were like, what the heck was that? Did somebody blow a gas? Because that would be like blow a gas line or something like that. No, it was an earthquake. And, those tectonic plates have been moving and changing. So, yeah, that's a lot coming. So that doesn't surprise me. You saw that. It just doesn't. I don't channel to allow spirit to jump into me anymore. Don't like it, not a fan of it. They try, and I don't care if they're even good people. I just can't, because I go so deep that I have to have someone banging on me to bring me back. And I just decided that's it. So I channel in different ways, and the artwork is a way I channel. And, you're sitting and I make spirit walkers who absolutely have minds of their own when they're done. And once I release them, I don't remember them, because it was just for somebody that would need to find them. And it's kind of crazy because they all have their own energy, like your paintings. They all have their own energy. They all have that, but it's what we were channeled to do. Because honest to God, like the one I just sent you a little bit ago that's hanging up back here, that's not how I paint. It's not how I paint. It's not how I draw. Like if someone says, here, can you draw my dog? Or, can you do a portrait of my, I can do that. I can do portraits of people, but that's not how I paint. So I always know. And they literally were on me for about a month and a half to do this last painting. And I would sit down and I'm like, no, not right yet. No, I see what you want, but I couldn't. I get ready to do it, sit down with the board, and it was like, nope, not yet. So it takes time, and I can't explain why they do that. Why would you think they do that? I mean, I just don't get it.
Well, it is all about timing, and I've explained to many people that they're on the other side in spirit world. Time it's not a thing. It's a human thing. It's not a thing.
Right.
Because a sneeze could be 1,000,000 years.
Yeah.
And that's it. So time for us, when we feel the time is right, doesn't necessarily mean it's right on the spirit side of things.
Right.
And if we are not, maybe we feel pretty good that day, but maybe we're off a little bit. Maybe we just aren't in that right mindset that they need us to be to channel what we are supposed to channel.
But then when we are, they're beating us up to hurry up, get to it.
Oh, Lord, yes,
let's do it.
I can't tell you how many times I've sat down to paint. And most of my paintings, I don't move until it's done. It can be hours of sitting at a canvas. I don't get up to go pee. I don't go nowhere. I just keep going. I don't stop to eat, nothing, no breaks. I just paint until it's done.
Well, whenever I like try to insert myself in the work, like I'll be doing it, and that's how they are with me. I'm just going at a pace that they've got me going at, and I'm slapping the paint on or doing whatever. And then I'm like, I don't really like that. That doesn't really, like this last one. Why are you making me put blue, white, and silver on this? That's not who St. Bray, like, why? And it was like, okay. And that was it. I was like, okay, so now I can't do anything. It wouldn't let me do anything. So I hung it on the wall because it is oil. And I'm like, great. So then I got up the other day and it was like, okay, you going to do this the right way now? I was like, oh, okay, yeah. So I got everything sat down and I finished it. And even when I finished it, because I sent it to a couple people just to take a look at it before I did anything with it, I was like, I don't know if I really like this or not, but it's what they wanted me to paint. So it doesn't matter. So then, like I said, Lindsay came by, she saw it, was like, holy crap. And other people were like, yeah, too. And I said, yeah, not one of my favorite paintings that they had me do. However, people that have bought my paintings in the past were like, holy crap, So I'm like, okay, I guess it's supposed to be not for me because I work with St. Francis all the time anyway. And I was like, okay, whatever. So now it's hanging drying. And I was like, okay, let's go. We got another one to do. And they're like, nope, not right now. And I'm like, come on, I want to finish the deck. I got 2 more. I'm down to 2 more paintings. That's all I need to complete the deck. Nope, not ready.
And that's where I am with my book. So I can't tell you, I probably have roughly 10 stories that are done. The story is done. But the illustrations are what really pull it all together.
Yep.
And they're just sitting there. They've been sitting there for a few months, and I can't do anything with it because it's not time for me to do the illustrations yet. Even though I'm not physically drawing them, when I put the energy into working with the AI, you got to say things in a certain way to get the exact thing that you're looking for. And it's not time for it. Whether it's not time for that to be released yet, not time for that story to be told.
I just don't think they want us to do whatever. It's like they want to remind us they're driving the bus. We are not driving that bus.
That's true. I mean, because that TikTok I did this morning, like I just feel weird. Like I'm just dangling because I'm not physically working on something really meaningful. I could work on the agent thing or some other little thing, and it doesn't matter because those aren't super meaningful. Right. But the really meaningful things, I feel weird if I'm not working on something like that, and it's strange.
It's strenuous on yourself, and I know, like, I'll sit and, like, for each of my paintings, I will sit and channel because I'm releasing the cards really soon. And so I sit there and I channel each piece. So I have to sit with a certain piece and kind of put music on. A lot of times it's Gregorian type chant music, which it uses to calm me down really well so that I can get into that almost altered state, if that makes sense. And then I just sit. And then it just flows. And I don't even know what I'm writing, right? I'm not looking at it. And then I close it, it's saved on Word. And then I go back and look at it a couple days later. And I'm like, yeah, no, I didn't write that. Whoever came through wrote it, because that's not even how I talk.
Right.
So, and that takes energy. And I don't think everybody, matter of fact, a friend of mine that was doing some channels and going to people's homes that were really kind of crazy energy in the houses and stuff. And from stuff that had happened on the land, and some of it was from the 50s and 40s. And she had gone in to help these people. And I said, you need to make sure you feed yourself back and cleanse yourself back to your original state when you leave these places, because she channels as well, and it takes a lot out of you, and it will knock you on your butt.
Yep.
It will knock you on your butt.
Yep. You need to make sure you're hydrating and doing a good cleanse.
Yeah, I can't say it enough. Hi, Jillian. I did get your message, so I'll be getting with you soon. Let's see, I said hi to Vic. Mandy Everly's here. Angela's here. Who else is here? There was a bunch of people popping on here. Karen Markham. Hi, Karen. How you doing? I hope you're well. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, here's some. Connie's saying that California going to be the first or faster than the East Coast. I would agree with that. But I think the southern states are going to get hit more than the upper northern states are. And according to what you're saying, it's pretty much the same thing. I actually have told people that have just recently moved out to California. I was like, why are you?
Yeah, why would you?
Like,
why? Why are you? No, stay away from the coast. Any coast, stay away from it. Don't move there. Go look at that Navy Doomsday map. Look at the safe areas and go there.
Well, I'm in Michigan, so we're surrounded by lakes. We're the fresh lake, like, sing. Hi, Gay. How are you?
Let me pull that map up and let's have a look.
Okay. Well, if you've got a JPEG of it, send it to me and I'll just put it up here.
Okay, hold on.
Yep.
I'll get it.
Yep, that's okay. It's just, I don't know, the Great Lakes, because we have all this fresh water. And then something I learned about 10 years ago, which sort of actually kind of pissed me off, was Nestle, the company Nestle that makes Nestle chocolate, whatever,
yep,
was pulling water out of Lake Michigan for bottling water. Like, it's kind of like Perrier water, you know. It's just tap water that they get. And,
I just sent it to you.
Okay, and put it through some stuff.
Michigan, there's not a lot of Michigan left.
Yeah, well, thank you for that.
But like I said, it's going to start. I feel like it's going to start down in Texas and then work its way up. So you'll have plenty of notice, and it's not going to happen overnight. Now, when that first crack opens up, that's going to open up pretty decent. It's not going to be. It'll be big. It's not going to be a crack you can just step over, but it's, you know.
I'm safe. I see it. I'm safe. I'm good where I am. Ha, ha, ha.
Even a good portion of Georgia is gone. North Carolina.
Yeah, that's kind of freaky.
Half of Maine.
Looks like part of Mexico is still there, though.
Yeah.
Okay, let me go and get this. Hang
but
on.
all of Louisiana pretty much is gone.
All right.
Half of Arkansas. All of Utah is gone.
Well,
Colorado is half gone. Nevada's gone.
I don't have to worry about the skinwalkers again, eh? Okay, here they go. We're going to put it up.
A tiny portion of Oregon.
This is the map she's referring to. So, yeah, you can see. I don't know if you can see my cursor or not on here, but yeah, it's a lot of it gone. Colorado looks like it's mostly gone.
There's actually more of Florida there than I thought there was.
Yeah, but it's the whole bottom is going to be gone.
Oh yeah, the whole bottom.
The ocean is just going to go, and it's going to be wow. So you know why it's going up the Louisiana mark here to the Michigan Lake? That's where the Mississippi River comes in. Yeah, that's what's going to do. That's going to bring all that seawater in.
Yep.
Wow, the UP. Well, I'm not. No, I shouldn't say that. That's not nice. I was going to say the Upers and we're the trolls, but yeah, no, I'm in a safe spot. I can see that. But this is going to take time. But you know, the whole thing with this is the fact that it's going to take time to do it. And the earth is actually going through the physical changes that it's going. And I think that's also why a lot of us, you know, not only the horrific stuff that's going on right now in the world, and I do mean the world, it's not just here in the US or
No, because if you can look it
everywhere.
up, there's a world map of that as well. Like the UK is does not hardly exist at all anymore.
Yeah, but this is going to be over a course of a number of years, and like I said, I'll probably be dead by the time it happens. But you got to look at, again,
Most of Europe is gone.
yeah. Well, okay, so you go back in time, right? And
Yeah.
you go back in time and things were different. You know, we had dinosaurs in the heat, we had dinosaurs in the winters. And then, you know, if you look over in Europe now or the UK or the Middle East, whatever, Egypt has shifted. The lands, the Nile River has completely shifted and taken over more land than it used to be on. So there's a lot of stuff that's underwater now, and they're finding that. And over in Greece, it's the same thing. You know, they're exploring, and once what was above ground is now below ground. So it's going to probably take, you know, a slow process of doing it, but I would imagine that what we just showed you is going to be very accurate at a certain point.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. It is crazy, but I also see, and this is something that I do. I pay attention to nature.
Yeah.
I watch what nature is doing, and this past year, nature has really shifted up for me here in Michigan, like a lot. And if you look even on the news for like good news with creatures, and I've actually been putting a lot of them up in our group, the Wolf and the Bear Network, because they're fascinating stories. The things that they're finding date way back from what archaeologists have previously found, putting mankind into that place as well. And you can actually see the craftsmanship and the spiritual impact that they had in their culture. And it's absolutely amazing to me. I posted the other day, they found in one of the tombs of the kings and the pharaohs, what is I can't even say it, Valley of the Kings, right? They found rings that were made, and I can tell you the craftsmanship on those rings, some of them had butterflies in them, but they had lapis and turquoise and carnelian in them. These are craftsmen from thousands of years ago, and they were doing this kind of stuff. And then if you look at the animals, they were even, and this was really kind of wild. And they just recently found this, probably in the past 5-6 years, is cats. They mummified cats and put their pets in with the kings and the queens, or even the other tombs that were there. They took their pets and mummified so the pets could go with them. And you watch what the animals have done, and you'll see, like what I'm saying with what I've been posting, is animals that were thought to be extinct. They weren't extinct. They just kind of drew back from mankind so they could replenish again. So those are popping up. Look at them about how they react to weather changes, even the inside animals.
I just saw a video the other day about the oak tree, and they go through cycles for self-preservation. And there are certain years, and it's like, I don't know why it's just sticking in my head. I could be wrong, but like every 6 years or something weird. I actually think she said something that it's untraceable because it's random. That some years they drop like a way more acorns than ever before, than any other years, because they know that they're not going to have this, there's not going to be enough squirrels to take all the acorns. And that means more saplings.
Right. Well, I've got a huge oak tree next door to me.
Supposedly this is a year that they're dropping more.
There are, like, if you were to go and walk, she doesn't pick them up at all until they're done. But I can't go outside because they're like over onto my property as well. And it's like walking on marbles, right? Because you can't even see the grass. It's just sheer acorns all over the floor of the ground. If you look at the cedar trees, it's not only the acorns. Cedar trees most of the trees that are out there, the pine trees are dropping pine cones, and it's really super heavy this year. The cedar trees are so heavy and they drop seed. They're so heavy, their branches are like drooping and low, so that you would have to go up and just kind of whack them to get the seed down. But that's what you do. If you look at nature, you're going to.
And when I think about it, the year I moved into my house, I remember Jenny coming, a neighbor of mine, but she lives about a mile down the road. She was at the house and she's like, I've never seen so many acorns in my life. So clearly that must have been a year that they were doing it. And I haven't seen that many since. And so this year, I'm sure they're going to be everywhere.
Again, that's kind of, I think also because of drought, but they do have a sense of intelligence, not like humans or animals or creatures, but they do have an intelligence of some kind that tells them this is what we got to do this year. So there's that trigger. Well,
and the trees all communicate with each other. Think about their root system. Their roots are like the internet. They all intermingle together, and so they feel and sense and understand everything.
I think what people need to do is pay attention more to the world around you.
Yep.
And it's almost to a point where people have to unplug to do that because they aren't used to doing it. But you really need to pay attention to it because it's helping us to figure out what we're doing as well.
Right.
So that's all I got to say on that. Hi, old graveyard history in Scotland. How are you? Welcome. I'd like to go walking in one of those graveyards.
Oh, yeah.
That would be
Scotland
fun.
Is definitely on the bucket list. My husband was in Edinburgh, stationed there when he was in the military, and it's his favorite place. So we want to go back, and there's a lot of other places we want to visit in Scotland.
Yeah, I had a friend that went. She went to Ireland and Scotland, and the pictures she brought back were just wow.
Yeah,
they were just. And that's kind of what I miss here. That's why I live where I live. I don't want to go back to the city. And then what's happening is it's getting all these, like we were talking earlier about the stores, they're all becoming abandoned. Even like car plants and factories, a lot of them are just abandoned, empty buildings. And to me, that's sad that they're not coming in and cleaning up after themselves.
Yeah.
But the animals are adapting to that.
Yeah.
So you're seeing the coyotes go into these areas where the buildings are just standing. You're seeing more raccoons. You're seeing more deer go into these areas. So they're adapting. Unfortunately, we're not keeping up with that. And I really think that's going to be a problem down the road.
Well, the majority, we are different because we purposely connect. We on purpose connect with the collective and connect with others and mostly nature. But the majority don't, they're disconnected from everyone and everything.
Yeah.
No one visits anymore. You don't just go hang out with people anymore.
Well, they do at my place. I don't have. I need a vacation after everybody leaves. So yeah, at my place. But that's because I'm in the woods.
You never know when we might just pop up.
Oh yeah, I know. Well, there's an empty room for you. You'll have to take it up with whoever's staying here that we don't see during the day. But All right, I'm gonna let you talk for just a second, and I'll be right back. I promise. Okay.
All right. Fine. She left. Where did she go? I thought she would at least keep the camera on. Oh my goodness. So does anybody have any questions out there? I know this last night or early this morning, I had the weirdest dream. I haven't even looked up any of the details about that dream because it just felt like it was a lot of just weird energy. So let's see. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody else having some wild and crazy dreams lately? And we have a new moon with the eclipse. That's a reminder that's coming up this weekend. Then we're going to have another full moon, a blue moon on Halloween at the end of the month. Let me look up that date, exactly the date. Hold on. Let's see. I forget the exact date. Go back down to October. And on the 28th, the night full moon is going to be in Taurus, and that's going to be with a lunar eclipse. The new moon is the 14th in Libra with a solar eclipse. And eclipses are about things coming to light, being revealed, and also about alignment, things getting in alignment, you or the other different parts of your life. What are my suggestions for getting rid of a spirit that doesn't want to leave but isn't aware they've crossed?
Depends on what they are, what they were, or who they were. I actually talked about this yesterday.
And why they don't want to leave.
Yeah. I talked to Lindsay about this the other night. She came over and she wanted to see a paranormal show. So I had put on Nick Groff and Katrina Weidman. They were in Allegheny, which is one of the worst mental institutions that ever was. They actually didn't close until 94, and it was built like in the early 1900s, like around 1912 or something. And they put the criminally insane in there. They actually were only supposed to be able to house, I think, 800 people, and at its peak there was 2,400 people in there just before they shut down. So they went back into this place, and there was it was intelligent because it was using the portal, the geoport, and you could hear the voices coming through. But there had been so much violence that, to me, that's one place I would never, ever step into. And one of the things we watched was they didn't know they were dead, because they actually said, do you know you're no longer here in a human form, or you're not, you have died? And there were like 3 or 4 of them that said no, like, but it was answered like in a question, and it wasn't like a spirit box. Portals, the geoports, are a little different. And think about it, you know, they're mentally unstable, and this is really a good question, and I don't have an answer for it. And that's what Linda said, like,
no, because there's so many different things, so many different factors to this. What is the spirit? Where did it come from? What kind of spirit is it? Why does it not want to leave? There's a lot of things going on there that, unless you're there and you can communicate, you don't know.
And well, that's a big thing we brought up too before. Like, you know, when so many people go to like the ghost places, right? Like Eloise here in Michigan, you know, they go, oh, and then you see them and they're going, we're sending you to the light, see the light. You don't know if they did. And my big thing is, if they're mentally handicapped, when they pass, does that automatically heal? Because I've seen how other people like have had heart attacks or had cancer. I can see them and they're whole and they're happy. But what happens to the mentally challenged? Like, do they know they're mentally challenged so that they're better? But everything that they're talking about
they're only mentally challenged in the physical world. Once they are spirit form, they're not mentally challenged anymore.
That's what you would think. Yet they're here in like Allegheny. They're still showing up in Eloise, and they can even.
Well, that's because they've never gone back to the light. They've never left the earth. There are spirits, some spirits. Okay, so there's different kinds. Okay, so some spirits, like the trauma deaths, that don't go to the light and go to the spirit back to, for just a basic understanding, like there's 2 different places. Here's earth and here's this spirit world, where you go to get a debriefing of your life that you've just lived here and all this other stuff, and you heal that spirit, you know, and see, did I get what I wanted? Did I have the experiences I intended? Did I learn what I wanted to learn? Did I level up, or, you know, whatever? Some spirits, especially in the trauma deaths, they don't do that travel. They don't go back there.
Yeah.
So they still embody that physical world life. And it would be hard for me to understand. And I'm trying to understand in a physical way of how they don't know they're dead. I know it
Well,
was trauma,
yeah.
but when you're, people walking through you and you can do things that you didn't do before. How do you not?
Well, but this is like what I said. They were in Allegheny. Chip Coffee came in, and he didn't know the history of where they were at, and he had never actually been there before. And he walked to the exact places and said exactly what was going on. And he saw a lot of people, but there was like one that was there that was kind of not letting them leave, as he explained it. He was like the head honcho or whatever, And we looked at each other and like, okay, so they're free to leave, but there's still spirit there. Are they still mentally challenged? Are they still? And they had drawings, which was really super bizarre.
And part of you has to wonder: is it the what's the word I'm looking for? The impression of that energy that is still there, but not the spirit. You know what I mean?
I do, but they threw baby powder. They threw baby powder down the 4th floor hallway and then left for the night.
Well, yeah, you can still do that. That energy still exists. But is there a spirit within that energy?
It made footprints in the baby powder.
Listen.
The baby powder
let's just imagine a spirit body, right? That is just energy. And then a spirit body that has a soul inside of it. That's 2 different things. It could be energy without the soul, or it could be energy with the soul. If the soul is still in it, it knows. If the soul is not in it and it's just the energy only, then it's never going to go anywhere and go back to the light.
Like almost like a residual haunt, that it would be there with the energy. But this kind of is intelligent because the way it was responding, even with the REM pod. I mean, this is just something that kind of blew my mind because I really didn't think about it until I watched this, and I was like, I wonder where they do go.
Well, I feel like what spirit is making me feel like is that the residual energy itself, the energy that is not have the soul attached to it, that energy still carries the personality of that physical form and that physical life, and it can do, and it's like, a zombie ghost. I don't know any other way to say it. But if there was a soul in it, that soul would know and have a full understanding of what it was, and it would not be still hanging out here doing the haunting.
Well, I know too that this particular building, and actually Eloise downstate in Michigan also has it. They're made out of sandstone. So certain stones, they do suck in the energy. I mean, that's like quartz crystals will do the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
So I get that.
Oh, I saw a video the other day. I need to send it to you.
It's
they did some energy energy photography of different stones. Stungite had none. Yeah, that was weird because that is so popular. That's the stone right now.
Yeah.
This was like, it's giving me chills. It was loaded with energy. But that shungite had 0. And the little pyramids, I don't have one here. I have one at home. The little organite pyramids, they do what they're supposed to do. They have all that energy, and it goes from the base out the top. Anyway, sorry, I got sidetracked.
No, that's all right. But Mandy's like, they like my kids' room. They like to stay in my kids' room. I would have to be there to kind of feel it myself, the energy through it, or be talking to Mandy on the phone. I won't go somewhere unless I'm connected with it. But to me, when they show anything that's been in the past, the homes that I've been to actually have had, it's usually grandparents that are there, or uncles and aunts, like siblings.
I was going to say a spirit guide. It could be a spirit guide. It could be, a angel type. It could be a guardian.
Well, Mandy, all I would do is what I do here. It's like, you can stay in my house as long as it's positive, and they do. They
Do
come
no harm.
Yeah,
Don't mess around.
You're not allowed to jump me, and you're not allowed to harass me. If you harass me, I'm going to call you out on it, and your butt's going to be out of here. So kind of own the space, or actually have the kids own their space. That's what I would do.
Yeah. Margaret asked, she said she had a picture come into her mind of a Firebird, and what did I think of that? For me, the Firebird is a lot like the what am I thinking?
Phoenix.
Like the Phoenix, rebirth. That's what I think of when I think of the Firebird. I also think of the Phoenix, and I know they're two totally different birds, but I still see rebirth with that.
Yep. Well, and Margaret, you know, that when we do artwork, that is a form of channeling. It just depends on how you connect with that. Again, like Holly and I can't explain what happens. I can't even pick. I don't paint with palette knives. I don't paint with palette. Like when Bear sits down to do I don't. When I do these channel paintings, I'm not allowed to use a brush. I only am allowed to use
palette knife.
Thank you. Couldn't get it out, but yeah, I've got a whole stack.
I feel like there was another question. Oh, well, Kay was saying that she was watching a funeral, and it was a celebrity she thinks is in great health, and it confused her. Well, it doesn't have to be about that celebrity. A lot of times when there are other people in dreams, they are place fillers, and our brain will fill them with all kinds of people you know, and people you've seen that could have just been a stranger you passed one day, and that's the person that your brain pops in that seat filler. Funerals, the death, there is here we go again with the birth of something new. So it's usually the opposite. When you're dreaming of birth, does not necessarily mean that somebody's going to die. Oh, I hate when people generalize it that way. It depends on the dream itself.
Right.
So you really got to put the whole thing into context and how you felt while you were dreaming as well. You can't just go by the basics in general dream meanings. Well, how did it make you feel?
Yeah, but it also can be like when you're at a funeral. I had a coworker that died when I was working at Children's Hospital. She was an RN. She had been at the hospital for a long time. She was in her 40s and she died. And, you know, of course, the staff from the ICU went to the funeral, right? We got there and she came out and sat between me and one of my other good friends that was a nurse. And she just sat there and was laughing at how many people were showing up for her funeral. And I was like, okay, go away in my head, right? And Steve, who was next to me, he sat up, and he was this little short guy, full of energy. He was very spiritual, and he actually died that year. He jumped planes, you know, to parachute down. That was his thing. And yeah, it was bad, and the plane crashed that he was here in Michigan with. But he was sitting next to me, and he leaned over. He goes, is it me, or is Rosemary like here? And I said, oh, good. I'm glad you see her too. And he says, she's like talking in front of people's faces and waving her hand. She was doing all kinds of crazy stuff. She was sitting up on top of the coffin or the casket, and it was like, holy crap. I've also seen with celebrities, and I always go back to this one, is when Whitney Houston died, they actually televised it. And I don't know why I'm connected with Whitney Houston, but I have for a long time, coming in dreams, coming in, showing up when I was having surgeries, whatever. But when I watched the funeral, and I don't even remember who it was that were playing on the piano. I don't remember if it was Stevie Wonder or who it was, but somebody was singing it. It could have even been Jennifer Hudson, but Whitney came out and sat on top of the piano. She crossed her ankles and she was leaning there, and I'm like, okay, like And I look back and I still saw it, and it was insane. But she was at peace. And
the first time I ever saw a dead person at their own funeral was my great aunt Mary, who was a preacher, and the funeral home was packed. And I'm at the very, very back, and I was young. I don't even know if I was a teenager yet. I was at least close. If not, I was a preteen. And I'm sitting back there, and she's right up front. And she's just glowing so bright, and she's so big because she was a huge personality.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like looking around. I'm a little kid, I'm looking around like, hello, there's nobody. Hello, and there she is. She wanted to see who was turning out, what was being said, and make sure that.
I think that's hysterical. Like, basically, they show up at their own funeral. I don't know if everyone does that from spirit, but I know the ones that I've seen, and it's kind of crazy, and you just kind of like looking everywhere else.
Yeah,
and you don't want to say anything.
I was flipping out.
Oh, I bet.
I was looking at everybody like, hey, and trying to see if anybody else could see her, because I'm like, hello, how can you not see that?
Did she see you?
Yeah. She was just smiling, and she was such a big personality, and she took up the whole freaking room. And I'm like, how do you not see? And I was just staring at every face. I was going down the aisles, looking at every face like, how is nobody looking in her direction? How is nobody seeing her?
That's why I laugh when friends tell me when I die before you, I'm going to come back and haunt your ass. And they do.
Yeah.
They do. The wolf is one of them. She used to say that all the time.
You better believe she is.
Oh, yeah, you don't have to tell me. But yeah,
that's probably where your pans went.
Yeah, but I did get them back. Now I'm missing a lid. So
tell her to bring it back.
Yeah, and Lindsay went under the cupboard yesterday and it wasn't there. So who knows? I don't know. I'm just letting her do what she wants to do.
Oh my goodness.
Just like normal, she always did that anyway. So
yep.
Okay, hang on one second. We got one more question. Oh, yeah, see?
Yep.
And it is. And I seriously wish people could tap into that, because I think if more people could do that, I think their grief would be a lot less. I think they, not that we don't miss them as a human, but, and I know you believe, I believe, I mean, I know there's an afterlife. I've seen
one of my aunts who has now passed, but at the time, she was pissed off, like seriously angry with me, because I said that my grandmother her mom, she had come to visit me several times. Anytime I would bring it up, she would be pissed off, because she's like, if she's not come to see me, she's not coming to see you. And I'm like, she has been to see you. That's the thing. It's just that you're looking for the wrong thing. You're not connecting.
Yeah. I just wish more people, and then sometimes it's the opposite. They're so intent on getting that message that they're missing them. Like, they're so intent, like, do this or do that, or I need to see you or whatever, that they're missing all the other.
It's not necessarily going to happen that way. Most of the time when it's that particular grandmother, I smell her first. I smell her and I'm like, hey, grandma, what's up? What's going on? What have I done?
My grandfather does that. He usually shows up in my dreams, and I'll say to my grandmother and grandfather when I go to bed, I'd really like to talk to you guys. And we go into this constraint I've set up in my head where it's their kitchen. And that's where we used to get all the, the laughs and sit and talk and what have you. And it was just a tiny little kitchen. But I always know if he's around because I can smell his pipe tobacco smoking. And there's no smoke in the house. Previous people didn't smoke that owned it originally, and there's no smoke in the house. So it's like, yeah, hi, Grandpa, how you doing?
Yep, yep. So. Before we go, I want to leave everyone with one thought, and I'm going to give it to everybody as a challenge. You know how a lot of times when things are going bad, or even when they're not necessarily going bad, and you're about to try something new, and what do you normally say? What's the worst that can happen? Well, guess what? The universe hears you say that, and the universe doesn't know you're joking, and the universe is going to show you the worst that can happen. So from now on, Do not say, what's the worst that can happen? Say, what's the best that can happen?
Yeah.
Every day when I come to work and when I'm headed home and then throughout the day, I'll say, hey, universe, what's the best that can happen? I'm never going to say that other thing again.
Oh yeah, I like the one. Oh, how much more can I take? And it's
No,
like, well,
no.
it's like, okay, you're challenging
the universe. No,
okay,
thank you.
they're gonna come back with a dump truck full. I can guarantee it. So yeah, that's a real good positive thing to say.
I'm just going to say, hey, universe, I can't take any more. Please don't.
Yeah.
What's the best that can happen? Show me the best. I want the best.
And you know what? I will tell you, I'm going to tell you this, and I just because you said that, I remember that. I was in a bit of a bind this month, right? Financially. I had paid all my bills. I forgot to pay one, but it didn't matter because I would have to forget to pay one other one to pay this one, right? And I had till the 15th to pay for it. And I said, nope, I know the universe is going to take care of it. I'm not worried about it. I'm not concerned about it. You know, and having your water shut off would not be a good thing.
Ooh,
so,
no.
But they've gone up this past year. Like, a matter of fact, my water usage has gone down to very, very low this year. But what they're asking for is way more than they used to 5 years ago. But they've wrapped sewage into it too, right? And so I was like, oh, crap, I forgot to pay that. And I'm like, okay, well, I need help, universe. And you know what? I got to help the bills paid.
Yay!
You know, it showed, and I knew it would show up. I wasn't even going to panic because it's, you know, I've got till the 15th and, you know, it's got to show up. It showed up. So
good job.
Have a little bit more faith and ask and put that out there. Like,
what's the best that can happen? What's the best that can happen?
I really need your help finding the best way to deal with this. And it works.
Yep.
100% works. Can't explain it, but it works. All right, guys. I love you, Holly. I love all of you. Thanks for popping in with us today. And we'll see you next Wednesday, same time, same place.
See you later.
Bye.